Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesday Talks. Now, Tuesday Talks is all about getting to know an individual and finding out what they care about and how they show that in the world. Now, today's guest we have is Jack Hammerton. He is a transformation coach for 5 years. So let me bring Jack on board. So I see you there. Just give me a second. Okay. Now, Jack's been helping quite a lot of people transform their life and change everything, and is all about no BS as well. Hey, Jack, how are you doing?
Hello, boss. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you very much for jumping on to Tuesday Talks. I've already started a little conversation about you, but obviously, you're the best person to do it justice. So if you just let everybody know who's joining us, who you are, what you do, and the biggest question everybody on Tuesday Talks always have is, why do you do it, Jack?
Yeah, sure. So I've been doing body transformations for the last 5 years now. So mostly online nowadays, but also in person a little bit too around London. But I started off when I was 19, so very young. And I think what drew me to doing transformations is the fact that it's not just about the physical transformation. You can really turn someone's life around. And I think growing up, I was never really too academic, and I thought coaching was something that really appealed to me. But I think it's the impact long run on people's lives that really kept me in the game. And yes, I'm still doing it nowadays, but mostly online now. And I think for me, it's about helping people, mostly sort of busy professionals and CEOs, fit this whole fitness thing around their own work and lifestyle. Because I understand in everyone's life, it's not everyone's main priority like it is mine, for example. But it's all about how we can fit it in around everyone else's life. So I think that's where I've landed now, is trying to help sort of business owners, busy professionals, how they can also have a slice of this fitness thing, get in shape, and not also take away from their life too much. So that's probably where I really where my expertise are mostly. Yeah.
I really love that, and honing on to obviously, because your why being you said not being academic, but you knew what was the next part, like because a lot of people usually are challenged by that. Okay, what do I want to do now? Oh, I'm getting into my 20s and I need to have this, that need that society tells you, like, you need to have this by this age and all that stuff. So you're like, well, whatever, let's see. But this is my interest. I love doing this, and health obviously is something a lot of us are concerned with, and
Yeah.
we have yo-yo effects with it. I mean, I myself go up and down with my health,
Yeah.
and I grew up a very skinny person, but then gained weight in between, and then now back to skinny and things like that. So I yo-yo it. It's I believe it's a case of discipline.
Yeah.
With the health, it's very difficult to find that discipline. Maybe you're able to expand on. So, say obviously you're
Yeah.
helping busy entrepreneurs, CEOs, who also are challenged just because of that, because other part of the life takes priority, right? And then we are hustling, we are grinding, or we're just creating something that we need to be creating, or we are also helping
Yeah.
others create their lifestyles and better. So, and we forget that we need to also look after ourselves.
Yeah.
And grateful that you're obviously doing that. But so if you could expand on how you're able to help those people.
Exactly. So someone like yourself, fitness is never going to be your main thing. Maybe it will be later on in your life, but right now it's this podcast, it's your business that you run. That's the most important thing to you, your friends and family as well. So it's funny you say there, it's all about discipline, right? Whereas I'd say it's partly discipline at times, but I actually think motivation and discipline are only used in small parts of our lives. I think it's actually mostly about putting the right systems in place for you to achieve your goals. Because if things aren't convenient and don't fit around your life, you're not going to be able to stick to it. So I have a bit of a different swing on things, because I've tried all the motivational stuff, I've tried all the discipline stuff, I've done all of that, and for me now I've landed on something where actually I realise it has to fit into these people's lives and our own lives too, as a PT as well, or an online coach. It's actually more about the systems you put in place to stay on track for your goals. Because like you say, with you, it's a yo-yo effect, right? It's up and down all the time. You'll feel like you're on it 100% one week, then you're off it the next week. And I think that's where it's about trying to find somewhere in the middle that you can actually consistently sort of stick to. So as opposed to being like this, you're sort of like this in the middle the whole time. And I think that comes from actually setting goals that are achievable at the start, because people start off in this fitness journey and go, right, I'm going to work out 6 days a week. And I'm there, the PT, even myself struggles to get 6 sessions in a week sometimes. I go, okay, what can you really commit to? Do you know what I mean? So I think it's about setting the bar at the right level and putting the right systems in place to actually achieve those things. Because like anything with your business, for example, you would have had conversations with yourself of like, right, where do I start? How do I start this thing? And how do I stick to it and long-term make a success out of it? It's no different with your fitness as well. You've got to put the right systems in place and put achievable goals there for you to actually achieve. Because like I said, you've got so many different things going on in your life right now that it's very hard to make that one thing your sole focus. So it has to sort of squeeze around everything else.
I love that. I love that answer here. That trying to find that. I wanted to use the word balance, but then again, the balance only comes from when you find out how you're able to fit this workout aspect, the health aspect of your life. Now, a lot of people also think that, oh, when I need to do this, I would have to change my diet, my eating habits. I need to, because a lot of PTs then get you to now measure your food, which is for me is like, come on, I'm not doing all that stuff. I'm not measuring my food. Yeah, it's like I just want to eat, right? Obviously, my eating habits all over the place because I eat busy lifestyle and all that stuff. So sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. Sometimes I'm just eating junk outside. But then I am like, over the times I've become a bit more conscious of it, so I am paying attention to it. But there is a time where I'm like, yeah, it's not going to happen today. So then you just tell yourself, oh, today's just a cheat day. Then you're thinking, well, today's cheat day. Then there's another cheat day next week. Like, before you know it, it's like 10 cheat days in a month.
It's momentum, isn't it?
Yeah. So how do you overcome that?
Well, do you eat similar things every day? Would you say you eat similar things, or is your diet all over the place? Or?
More or less similar things, yes.
Similar things. So from now, I'd say to you, right, well, if you're eating similar things every day, work out, let's say breakfast and lunch is the same. Work out how many calories are in both. Work out which one is throwing you off. And I'd say stick to that each day, but adapt it a little bit to your calorie needs and your protein needs. And I would say track it for a week or two if you're really against tracking your food. But we need some data. So I'd say track it for a week or two, figure out how many calories you're having a day. From there, you can stick to that breakfast and lunch every day. And then if you wanted to, you could change up dinner time if you wanted to. But there, you're creating a sustainable method to stick to your diet. Because you might think, right, breakfast and lunchtime is pretty easy. I eat the same thing every time. But dinner comes round after doing 3 podcasts, and I'm starving. I just want to get a McDonald's. So it's like, from there, you need to know how many calories you have left in the day so you can have that McDonald's and not feel guilty. So it's like, it's a system, right? It's not about like staring at that chocolate bar across the room and like trying to hold back. It's like, that's never going to work and you're going to give in eventually to it. We're animals, do you know what I mean? So it's about figuring out the system that's going to make you stick to it. So like I said, then you could create a budget of calories to finish your day off that you stick to, but keep the rest of your day the same, because it has to be something that you don't think about too much, that just flows through your day, right?
Yeah. I really love that. And obviously, because I love carbs. So when you were talking about, knowing how many calories you just need in that day and then what's left, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, when in your car, in your fuel tank, you know that when the tank's full, it's, I don't know how many liters it is. And then when it starts going down, you just know, okay, how much is left for you to work on it? Do you need to refuel your car? And the same for our bodies. Then you need to work out what's the energy consumption and what you need to sustain it. And obviously then work it out, what of that stuff is healthy, right?
Yeah, so, I think as well, removing the expectation of being perfect, because you might have a time where you you go over your calories, or you have something that you think is technically a bad food for you, and you end up going off the rails completely. And I think, but if you were more educated about how many calories you could eat at the end of the day, you probably wouldn't do that in future. So I think, I know people don't like tracking their food, like yourself, for example, but I think there are instances where it can be useful, because you need data to achieve most things nowadays, do you know what I mean? So it's like, fitness is like business in a way where you track your inputs and your outputs. It's the same thing with fitness, of like, you're tracking your input with your food and your output with your step count or your workouts, for example. So it's like, we have to have some sort of data, but we can't make sure it takes over your life at the same time. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I love that. So we're taking a step back a little bit and then going into your personal journey of health and fitness as well. So how did you get into it in terms of, okay, I'm all about health and fitness now, and obviously speaking to you, and I'm looking at your content as well. You're quite good in terms of like no BS, just cut through this, and so obsessed with the health and fitness, which is great because we need that. from our PTs and online coaches are like, okay, so that we can get that going, right? So yeah, take us through your journey of like, how did you decide that this was the thing for you?
Yeah, I actually don't think I'm too passionate about fitness. I'm passionate about people keeping their lives together. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not one of these people, but like, I love working out all the time. I do work out, obviously, but I'm more about people's lifestyle and habits. Do you know what I mean? Keeping them sort of on track. So I think that's where I fall in a little bit differently to a lot of coaches. But going back to my story, I sort of fell into it a little bit because I was working in a shop in my hometown selling shoes, and like I said earlier, I'm not academic. I wasn't going to university. I wasn't doing anything. I have no idea what I was going to do in my life. All I was doing was playing video games all the time. And like, I sort of got back into the gym at the end of my time at college. And then we had a work experience thing in college where we had to go to a gym. Or no, we had to go to somewhere and do some work experience for 2 weeks. So I went down to my local gym and they gave me work experience for 2 weeks. And I was literally cleaning toilets for 2 weeks straight. No one spoke to me. But there was just one PT, and he sort of taught me how the PT game worked and like what, how he was self-employed and how his clients all operated. And I found it really interesting. He's the only one who spoke to me. So I went away, did my PT course. I came back to the same gym. I worked there for 3 years. But I sort of fell into it because I wasn't ever going to go to university. There was nothing really apart from sport that I was passionate about or fitness. And even then, for the first half of college, I didn't really want to do anything with fitness either. I didn't really know what I was doing. But that experience of being able to go to a gym and work there for 2 weeks for free, it gave me a taste of what it was like. And I was like, actually, this is something I can see myself doing. So from there, I started teaching classes, cleaning a few less toilets, but still teaching classes, running the front desk at reception and stuff, and becoming part of the team. And then after a year, I took a jump and went self-employed and become a PT. And so over the last 5 years, that's what I've been doing, really. And then after 3 years there, I moved to London. So I've been here for almost 3 years now in London, which has been stressful itself. But I think the difference in London is there's a lot more people travel away a lot. There's a lot more busy professionals, CEOs, business owners. So you're surrounded by different sort of, not caliber of people, but like there's different issues to tackle than in your hometown, for example, So I think seeing the rush in London, everyone's fast paced and having to adapt my PT method to that has probably been the best thing for me as a coach. Do you know what I mean?
I really love that.
Yeah.
What's happened? I think I got frozen. I got frozen for a second. I'm back. I really love that. And as you said, yes, being in London is a whole different caliber. The life is obviously a little bit more faster than the rest of the UK, and everybody's like head down and just doing things, right, or just moving, and then again, so health just gets left behind.
Exactly. Yeah.
In that race of life, the health is like, we'll see it. At the moment, I'm able to function. It's okay. I'll see it later on in the life when something, and it's usually when our body just decides to, okay, you need a pause now, right? Stop. And then something happens, and you're, I don't know, not well. You're on bed, or you're on meds by that time to recover from whatever that is. Or your body starts to have some sort of pain. I mean, I had a very bad case of sciatica last year, at the beginning of that last year, and this time around I was literally wasn't able to sit, right? And that was just because I sat along very too much in the month of December, because I had too many time off, and a lot of stuff that I was doing was desk bound. And then after that, and health, I was like, I'm not worried about doing this. But now, since then, only thing I was able to do when I had sciatica was I could just stand and walk. As soon as I sat down, I was in pain, uncomfortable. I couldn't drive and all that stuff. So, but since then, I've been walking. I started walking. I can now walk with no hesitation up to 6 miles with no hesitation, and that takes me about 3 hours. And I do that regularly, about 2 to 3 hour walk around my neighborhood every day, at least 5 days. And I feel much better. So as the day I don't walk, and that day I just feel like there's something missing. Or so I have to literally go out and do at least a 20-minute walk. If I'm not able to go out or anything, I just pace around my house up and down, so I just do that.
But you have to put it in your diary. You have to make sure you do it. Otherwise it gets lost in the day, right? Before you know it, it's 6 p.m. Like, oh, I haven't left the seat all day, But when your back's killing you, it's like, it's a nightmare, isn't it? You've got to book it in the diary like it's a podcast. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be a priority.
Definitely, 100%. So, and I love that you brought this up. So everything for me is scheduled, right? So I have a Google Calendar and Apple Calendar and all that stuff. So all these calendars are connected. So I have put that in my calendar, right? Like me time. So when that me time comes along, I can then decide what I need to do and what time I have available during the day in between my meetings and podcasts and everything. So, okay, shall I just go for a walk? Or go into my back garden, or go, what I need to do is just do that. Or usually,
go on.
Usually I just go to the back garden and just look up at the sky, because you also need to clear your mind and exercise your mind as well. Because now we're doing all these things. You're becoming tunnel visioned, and that's where you start getting migraines and headaches and whatnot. Clouded vision, your foggy brain and everything is just because you're just focus into one 100%. Place, and all it sees is all this surroundings of yours is just walls. So once you start looking up at the sky, even if you're looking for 2-3 seconds, your vision just expands.
Yes.
And before you know it, you're refreshed already. And then you can make decisions like, do I not want to go for a walk, or do I do it later? And then because there's another me time coming in the day that I need to do that. But you were about to say, sorry.
I was going to say, are you doing any weight training at the minute, or are you just purely walking? Or
it's purely walking, no weight trainings. There was a time I did weight training, but then before, just when pandemic hit, and you weren't able to go to gyms, that kind of just made me more lazy. And just since then, I haven't been in the gym to do any sort of weights or anything like that. But then again, I'm one of those guys, and this is another question I was going to ask. I'm one of those guys that need a person in the gym. I'm like a lost person in the gym, even though I know what machines to do and what exercise I need to do. But I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm just alone. But like, I need to talk to someone in between. Otherwise, I'm just feeling like, I'm hearing other people just grunt.
You need a PT stood there with a double espresso waiting for you. That's what. Because I say to my clients all the time, like, people know how to work out after a month of training with someone like myself, or if you've got good PT. But it's about after that stage, it's having someone there waiting for you, and also continuing you on the right path. Do you know what I mean? So it's less about like the learning of that part. It's more about the like, right, you've got to stick to it now for the next few years, actually for the rest of your life, hopefully. That's why having a coach there is so useful, whether it's online or in person. Just someone to like give you a nudge and say, did you do it or not?
Exactly. And it's about that company, even though you know what you to do, but it's like the accountability part of things. Like, did you do it or not? Oh, today we needed to do this session. So you had 4 days without me. Did you catch up on these 4 days? Because the 5th day you're going to be with your PT. You want to at least, if you can't do the full 4 days that you want meant to do, at least you're going to do 2, and then you're going to tell it, okay, I did 2. Right, so let's pick up, and then with your PT, you pick up from that day. After the 2 days, okay, we need to do this. Obviously, then you would know that you're not progressing. You're going to be a little bit stalled because you didn't do the 4 days that you're meant to do, whatnot, or plan it with your PT and how it's meant to be for yourself. And this is where I think the PTs come very, very handy in terms of taking you forward. For myself. And a lot of people who think the health is secondary at that point in life, right? Even though it's supposed to be right at the front, because if you don't have your health, whatever you're creating in life, whatever you're doing, at one point it will just come to a stall, right? Just like a car. If you're not looking after your car, at one point it just gives up and stops, right?
And some people need that scare to wake up, right?
Exactly. So we need to always work on it before that happens, because after that, you're on a repair mode. You're not on a health mode. Okay, I'm going to be better and continue. You're on a repair mode. Now you're repairing your body first to come to terms with where you are and then move forward, right? So that's a longer journey, and I appreciate that PTs are able to take hold of that part and guide you before the damage happens.
I think as well, going back to what you said before as well, where you said that about your PT after the session. For the next 4 days, you've got to go away and do this and then come back and see if you do it. I think that's where it's a two-way relationship as well, because it's on the coach to prescribe something that's achievable for the client as well in those 4 days. And I think a lot of PTs think that their clients are them, and they'll set these unrealistic expectations for the client. Like, okay, you've got these 5 things to do. It's like, just give 1 or 2. You don't need to give 5. But I think that's where a lot of coaches fall down, in my experience of watching people, is they either don't give enough or they give too much, because they think that their clients are like them. And it's about going away and giving the client homework that they can actually sit down and achieve over the next 4 days. But then it's also on the client to obviously follow through with it as well. You can't turn around after 12 weeks and go, oh, I look the same. It's like, I can't make this any easier for you. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's where coaches come in, of like the good ones and the bad ones, or everyone's different styles, I guess is a better way to put it, of like, you need to make sure that you're prescribing the right stuff for the right people, you know?
I really love that. And you just reminded me at the point when I did used to go into gyms and everything. And, you look at these personal trainers who are obviously coaching others, and you see them, and then you're like, yeah, I don't see you as a personal trainer. I'm not too sure what are you actually teaching this person, obviously, who's paying you to be a personal trainer, because they actually look more I don't know, just by looking at it. If you're looking at the shape, for me, it's like, okay, if you're telling me to do certain things, I'm aspiring to be possibly like yourself, who is a personal trainer, or go beyond that, right?
Yeah.
So because this is a shape and health body that you're happy with, but maybe I was gonna first achieve that, and then I'll see if I can go beyond it, and you're gonna help me with that. And then I see people who are like, yeah, you don't look like a personal trainer. I'm not sure what's happening. So then there's those forms as well, right? So that you come across, but then they have qualifications and everything. So are they just like the qualified PT, but they actually don't do anything else?
Yeah.
But then there's different styles. So nothing wrong with those things. I'm sure they do know their stuff, and they let people progress. And as you mentioned, those PTs probably are the ones who give you too much or too less of a plan to work with, right?
Yeah, I mean, PT and online coaching are the same as any business, whether it's plumbing or carpentry. You'll get some great guys and girls, you get some not so great guys and girls, That's about finding the right fit for you. And I was going to do a post actually on this, saying that like a lot of PTs I met at the start, I looked around what they were offering. They weren't really offering much to their clients. Like, they weren't any additional nutritional or training advice was like extra costs. I remember being 19 and being like, are you mental? Like, these people are already paying a lot of money for coaching. Like, surely this should all be included. So that was the first thing I did, was include the whole sort of online coaching, but in my PT package, just to give full value. And that's something at a time that no one was really doing. And this is like 5 years ago. So a lot's changed since then. But going back to what we're saying as well, I think you have to find a coach that has the right things that you need. And I think coaches need to be adaptable as well. Just because that lady needs that guy doesn't necessarily need that, Like, I have some clients that I know need that. I need to check in with twice a week. Some I need to check in once every 2 weeks. Like, everyone's different, But I think it's been adaptable and being able to work with different people.
I love that. So obviously you're being, a personal trainer and everything. You must have got some sort of routine, regime, or ritual, different words for everybody that loves to use it. Is there something specific that you are able to share that works for you? Is there a morning routine that you do when you wake up, and what do you do?
The opposite of that. I always say to people, I'm not actually a big fan of morning routines. I'm not against them, but for me, I've always been like, what's the priority of that day, and just get it done at the start of the day, get out of the way. For example, if you can't hit your step count, I'm just keep it relevant to fitness. Like, if you can't hit your step count, get out first thing for a walk and get it done. Do you know what I mean? Or like, if you can't get your workouts done after work and you're not, because you're tired, get out first thing and just go and do a workout, or go for a walk at least. If you can't get your protein in, get it in at the start of the day. So I'm less about morning routines, more about just prioritization, just getting things done that needs to be done from off the bat. My morning routine is a black coffee and just getting on with it. So, but I understand some people can like the morning routines, but I think it's important not to long it out too much. Just sort of have a few things if you want to have a morning routine. But for me, I'd say if you're not getting results right now in your fitness, I'd say just do what you suck at first thing. That's most important. What's going to leverage you to get in shape, So like I said, the things that you're slacking on, prioritize at the start of the day, and just make sure you're halfway there already by midday. You know what I mean? That's where my sort of trend of thought is more.
That's quite interesting, because I was going to also ask, like, what you do to wrap up your day, like. So then I'm thinking, also, how do you work out that where you're lacking at what's important that day? What's the best way to work that out for someone
What
then?
if they don't know what they're doing wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. I think it's probably about looking at all factors. So if I'm going to look at fat loss, keep it relevant to fat loss. If I'm going to look at that, I'm going to go, right, well, workouts and worked out 3 times this week. My calorie intake's on track, but my activity, I'm not hitting 10K steps. You know, so that's what I need to work on, right? I need to get more steps in. So I'm going to get up first thing and go for a walk and get 5K done by 9 a.m. You know, or if I'm going over my calories, I'm just going to like not have that stupid breakfast I had with 800 calories, and I'm just going to sack that off at the start of the day and fast until 2 o'clock. You know, so I think it's hard if you haven't got a coach setting you targets. If you have got a coach setting you targets, look at each target of what you're hitting, what you're not, and the things you're not hitting, obviously prioritize that. But if you haven't got a coach or anything like that, just start on the basics of like using common sense of like, you know, look at your diet, look at your activity, look at your workouts. They're the 3 things to focus on. On the pyramid of fat loss, it'd be nutrition, it'd be daily activity, and then at the top it'd be workouts. Workouts are the least important thing when it comes to fat loss. It's more about how much you move throughout the day and how many calories you're consuming, right? So break it into 3 things: activity, nutrition, and workouts. The bottom 2 are the most important. So where are you going wrong? And just fill in a hole. What do you need to work on? And from that as well, if it's really important to you, get it done first thing, get out of the way. Because like I said, you've got to go and record a podcast. Steve's got to go to the office. Samantha's got to go run her kid to work. We've all got busy lives. So just get the thing that you suck at the most, that's most important. Just get out of the way. Get out of the way first thing. Find a system. This is why I go back to the chat about systems. We can all discipline ourselves to do things, but eventually you're going to go, oh, I can't bother with this anymore. You know, you have to have a system in place you can stick to for a long time. Because we're playing a lifetime game. You don't win in fitness. You don't win fitness. The goal is to stay in shape. So you have to find something that you can stick to for the next 50 years.
I really love that, and explains quite a lot. You know, to have that system, to create a system, and obviously, if people are trying to create that system by themselves, it may work, it may not work. So I would 100% recommend to somebody to connect with yourselves or PTs that they prefer to go with to help them create the system, because you have the expertise. You know, when we are not fix our cars, we do take it to the mechanic. We might know little bits in here and there that we can do, but we do take it to the mechanic to look at the bigger stuff that we need to fix. Yeah, let's help me fix this car so I can be back on my road and work and whatnot. So I see that any coaches, any personal trainer, or anything that involves an expert to support is just like that. We need that support who is able to see beyond what we are seeing. Because we are just seeing the problem, which is right now. Like, we are unable to catch up on our steps. We are yo-yoing with our weight, and what's the ideal weight I should be at this time? If I wanted to be this way, what's the muscle that I should be in? I don't want to be looking like all muscly and all that, because I'm not going to go and do some wrestling, but I want to look in shape and be toned or something like that, right? So depending on whatever their goals are, right? So how can I achieve that?
Yeah, I think we all have things that we're naturally good at, and naturally things we're bad at. So I think the things you're naturally not very good at, sort of outsource that part of your life to someone who is good at that, who can give you the right pointers to make that job a lot easier for you. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you have a business, the first thing you hire for is probably the thing that you're not very good at and takes all your energy up, So maybe having someone to organize your diary. It's the same thing with your fitness. If you have all these things in your life and your health is the thing that's falling off, hire someone just to give you the pointers to keep you at that level, that you're not falling off a cliff. We're not asking to be a professional athlete, but find someone that can keep you at that level. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I really love that, and thanks for reminding us all of that. There's I was going to say there's no shame in asking others who are experts in their niches to support you and guide you and take you to the next level and help you sustain the lifestyle that you want to do. So is there I was going to ask you about intermittent fasting, because that's the next big craze going around everywhere. You hear about people throwing this everywhere. So what are your take on intermittent fasting as it's a big thing in weight loss as well nowadays?
It's all personal preference. So we all know at the end of the day, if you're in a calorie deficit from how many calories you burned, then great. So that's the end goal with fat loss, is to be in a deficit by the end of the day. So if skipping breakfast helps that, and you can bear to go through the morning without eating breakfast and not being too hungry and low on energy, then great, that works for you. But if you're going through the mornings, maybe you're really hungry or you're lacking energy, maybe breakfast is for you, you know. There's a thing as well with male and females are very different too. You know, females probably need slightly more food throughout the daytime to support their hormones and stuff as well. So a lot of women don't work very well, especially if you're pregnant as well. You shouldn't be intermittent fasting. So it depends on the individual. There's no right or wrong, like anything in fitness. Everyone's got their own different things. So I'd say to people, if you wanted me to break it down to simple terms of do you like breakfast or do you not? It's simple as that. So for me, I know I can go all morning. I can have no breakfast. I can be really productive. So I could actually go without breakfast. It's going to save me 500 calories to the end of the day. But if you're someone that's like, no, I need that bowl of porridge, otherwise I'm going to really suffer to get on with my work, I'd say have breakfast. Don't intermittent fast. So it all depends on the individual. My job's very active on walking around all day, carrying weights around. I have a very active life. So for me, breakfast works for me because I need the extra fuel. But if you're someone who works in an office and you don't move up until 12 o'clock in the daytime, do you really need breakfast? Like you could probably get the morning on a few black coffees, you'd be all right. So I think it's all personal preference. That's the answer. There is no right or wrong. It's just, does it fit your lifestyle, and do you need breakfast? Do you not? Simple as that.
That's the best answer I could think that people can take away from this now. You know, personal preference. Yeah, because there's lots of things out there. You just need to work out what works best for you. And as you said, you're able to, you know, go without a breakfast. Then try it. Right. And obviously, it's different for male and female. So also check your body if it's able to sustain that. So what's next in your journey in terms of what you're doing? How can people get in touch with you if they wanted to after this episode when they're listening to?
Yeah, I mean, for me going on now, it's about being able to serve as many people as possible. So I think that's where I'm making the change from doing all my stuff in person over the last few years to even more online now, because, you know, if you're stuck in a part of town PT and you can only help people in a certain radius, whereas my audience spreads all the way to America or, you know, Asia. So it's like being able to serve as many people as possible, which is what's great about the online coaching. So for me now, it's about getting content out and just showing everyone sort of what I know and being able to help people, whether it's through free content or sign up for my online coaching. That's the next big thing for me, really.
And so how are people able to get in touch with you if they needed some sort of advice or find out what you're offering next and how they can sign up, things like that? What's the best way to get in touch with you? Yeah,
I'm pretty active on Instagram, so I think Instagram's probably the best place for me. I'm on different social medias, but I think Instagram is where a lot of it is at, especially with fitness. So if you go on my account, you'll see my bio, sort of who I help and what's good about me as a coach, and you'll see on there as a call to action. So if people follow that call to action, they'll take them into my inbox and we can have a quick conversation. Whether it's a bit of free advice about their fitness or whether it's about signing up to a program, whatever it may be, they can go through my Instagram. It's all sort of laid out for the steps they need to follow.
So what's the best thing that you would recommend to people who, let's say, are starting out on this health and fitness journey? They're not sure if they want to do weight loss or gain weight or just gain muscle mass, things like that. So they're not sure. Let's say they're right at the beginning of the journey and they reach out to you. What would be the best place for them to start off with? What would you recommend with yourself?
Good question. It depends where they are. I think if they are someone who is very, very inactive, like barely goes for a walk, you know, maybe gets out for a walk a couple times a week, I'd say stick to going for a walk 3 times a week, all right? If you're someone that's moderately active already, I'd say try and go to the gym 3 times a week starting off. And you'll say that's not enough to get in shape, and it's not, because you need the rest of the advice there. Yeah. But until you can actually adhere to doing something, there's no point having a full plan written out for you. So I have clients that come into the gym who haven't trained for 5 years, but sign up to a program with me. I'll never see them again. They'll pay the amount, but I'll never see them again because they haven't developed the trait to be able to even stick to the gym yet. So I'd say to people, starting off, go to the gym 3 times a week, go for a walk 3 times a week. Sounds really stupid advice, but if you can just start off adhering to something first of all, say 5 days a week, 6 days a week, you have to start off at a small pace. So from there, you can then start to build on this thing. And then a few years in time, you're in great shape, but it has to start somewhere. So start small.
All right. I really love that. And it just reminded me of, it's a bit like when you're learning to drive, right? You have to start somewhere, which is then you even though you get in the car, you're all confused. You don't know, even though you know the pedals and everything, what they do, you still need that instructor next to you who then guides you. Okay, do this, do that. And then after that, again, once you do get your driver's license and everything, you still are, the slowest person on the road anyway. So you're
Yeah.
like still pacing
Yeah.
yourself, right? Pacing yourself until that one day it comes. You're not even paying attention
Yeah.
to the road anymore, which you are, but subconsciously you're driving anyway because you're having a chat with your friends in the car, listening to the music, but you're basically driving and got
Yeah.
to your destination without, consciously looking at all the things that you need to look at for
Yeah.
driving, right? And the same thing comes with our health. So yeah, I love that you said,
Yeah.
start small,
Yeah.
pace yourself up, and then there'll come a point where you'll be just naturally doing all these things,
Yeah.
and in a bigger scale as well.
Yeah, it's like we have this thing in weight training where, well, any training, but let's just use weight training because it's easiest to track of like throughout the years when you do weight training, you can increase your volume, right? So you can increase the amount of volume you do throughout the years. So volume is obviously the amount of weight you're lifting times by how many times you're doing it, blah, blah, blah. So someone who's trained for a year usually can't do as much volume as someone who's trained for 5 or 10 years. But a person who's been there 5 or 10 years just slowly crept up to it. But didn't just go like this one day. They slowly crept up to it. And the same thing with anything in life. You've got to start off small and build it up because you can't go from doing nothing to everything. You have to start off on step one. So that's why I said start off going for a walk 3 times a week, because until you can actually stick to something, there's no point giving you a full nutrition program to stick to. It's not going to happen. So definitely starting to
love that.
doing it. Yeah.
I really love that. I really love that. And I'll recommend everybody who's watching us live on Instagram at the moment, check out your profile as well. If you're not following, definitely follow, because when I was looking as well, so, and this is the first time obviously I'm meeting Jack. So, and this is the best thing about Jesus Talk is that we've not connected before. We've been recommended to this, and when I was checking, so first time when I looked at your Instagram profile, I was like taken aback. I was like, whoa, hang on a minute, what's happening here? I've been told off.
Just some angry English folks shouting in your face.
I was like, oh no, what's happening here? But then I was like, no, hang on a minute. He's got a point here now. He's got a point, So once, but then there was like, I think that you hit the point where it was me, obviously not doing my things properly, and I was like, oh yeah, that hurt.
Got you in the feelings a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, that hurt. But then I was like, yeah, it's hurting because I know I'm not doing it, and he's right.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And then once I overcome that and I pass it, then I start looking more to the content. Like, I love that, and it's like no BS, and this is the kind of PT you need that just goes through. He knows that what's happening and why you're not doing it, but then rather than just like, what do you call it, massaging your ego, like, yeah, it's okay, you can do it 3 days later, no worries. No, you need to do it today. 3 days later, it's not happening. If you didn't do it today, you're not going to do it 3 days later, right? And that's the message I was getting from your Instagram stories, and I love that. Is that something you developed over the years, as well as we were talking about, building up, or was that something is within you? You're like, okay, I'm a not BS guy, no BS, straight talking, and let's just get on with it.
Yeah, I think it's finding a balance between being tough love and having a bit of empathy at the same time. I think, like I've said like a million times already on this episode, of like, it has to fit around your life, so you have to have empathy with that. You have to like be empathetic with people, but at some point you have to turn around and go, what are you doing? I can't make this any easier for you. Do you know what I mean? So it's getting the right balance between the two. You can't be too brutal, you can't be too soft at the same time. But I definitely think it's over the years it's developed, because when you're younger, especially like I started on the gym floor PTing when I was 19. When you're younger, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, no problem, yeah, it's fine. But as you get older, you're sort of like, you can't keep doing that to people. You can't let people get away with it. You have to, showing up with your double espresso with a smile on your face isn't enough. You have to sometimes be a bit brutal. So I think throughout the years, it's definitely been something I've had to bring on. But I think also, like, people are paying a coach because they need you to be that way. People aren't paying you to be nice. People are paying you to get results. So I think whatever drives results is best. So sometimes you need to deploy empathy. Sometimes you need to deploy a bit of tough love. It depends on the scenario. But I've always been pretty straight to the point. People who know me well will say Jack's very direct, but it's just coming across in the right way, which I hope it does in my content. But I think I'd rather people finish watching the content with some value in it, and it sort of leaving a mark on them and being like, yeah, okay, that stuck with me now. That's the main thing.
It's definitely doing that 100%, and 100%. I'll recommend everybody to check it out.
Thank
And
you.
I will obviously tag your profile again on this episode as well, so that they can definitely check it out. And when this is gonna get posted onto Spotify and all the other podcast channels, we'll be tagging your Instagram again onto that, so people can still check it out. We will be wrapping this up shortly, but before we do this, I want to say thank you very much for sharing wonderful aha moments for people to take away, and some things that they can start with. Walking, who would have thought the simplest thing in life, which is available to you, you just walk, can literally start your healthy habits from there. And intermittent fasting obviously is a personal preference, but that can also help in terms of that. So before we wrap this up, I wanted to ask you, knowing what you know now, what would have you appreciated in your younger years? I know you said, during 19, you pivoted and everything, but let's say when you were like 15, 16, what you know now, and you would have appreciated to have that information at that time.
Oh God, that's a good question. I would say probably like your feelings don't matter. That's probably a big thing I'd say, because it's easy to, when you're younger, get so emotionally invested in everything. Still now I do a little bit, but it's so easy to like be so emotional about everything you do, and also try and be perfect all the time. Maybe that's what I'd say. Stop trying to be perfect. That's what I'd say. Let me change my answer. I'm 180 there completely. I'd say stop trying to be perfect, because perfection is really just a way to procrastinate. Because I used to try and be, I can't do that because I'm feeling like this. And nowadays I'm just like, you just got to write this thing. It's not hard, So I'd say focus on actions rather than feelings, yeah. And tied in with that, I'll give you two things. Don't stop trying to be perfect as well. So here's two pieces of advice for everyone, not just one. Double the value,
Yeah. And I really love that for all the young audience which are listening to us. It's the best takeaway for them. And the last and final question for us would be, okay, what would you like people who've been listening to us live here on Instagram and later as a podcast to take away from our conversation today?
I'd say similar to the thing I said about sort of walking, just starting off walking 3 times a week. I'd just say start somewhere. Because most people never start, or they half-heartedly start and they stop straight away. Just start, and I'd say focus on adherence more than anything. What can you actually stick to for a long period of time? Because if you watch my content, there's probably a similar theme as to like, what can you stick to? So that's what I'm into, yeah.
I love that. I might even use that as a name for the the episode for us. Start somewhere, and what can you stick to?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what it's about ultimately, isn't it?
Yeah. I really love that. So, Jack, thank you very much for taking the time out today to jump on to this talk and inspiring all these people who've been listening to us live and later on in the podcast. Everybody who've been listening to us live or listening to this as a podcast version later on, if you had an aha moment or you spark in you with our conversation, it's our duty now to share this episode with whomever came to your mind or you think should be listening to this, because we don't know who's going to bed or waking up thinking of a better day. And if this episode's created that spark in you, it may create that spark in them as well. And that's all we need to start walking and sticking to the walk.
Just get up.
So exactly. So it may just get them to get up and do something about it as well. So thank you very much, Jack, once again. And thank you everybody as well.
Thanks for having me, mate. Thanks a lot, Zishan.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.